Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dugout Football channel where it's time for my second lockdown chat with a famous guest. Now obviously, I hope everyone is staying safe and as we are in unprecedented times at the moment. But I am joined today by someone who I only learned a couple of months ago, who is younger than me, is Antony Howard, aka LCFC Boya. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I like that. A famous guest sounds quite good, but no, I'm doing well. Slightly bored, but getting on with it.
Aye, well, I appreciate you taking your time out to have a chat with me. So obviously my first question to you is, what have you been doing during this lockdown period?
Not a huge amount, to be honest. I don't have a huge amount to do. There's only so many times you can rearrange the same drawers and do stuff in the garage kind of thing. But I've been doing quite a bit of content on my own channel to keep me busy, but just sort of bouncing from one thing to another, really.
Yeah, I'm the same, to be honest. Obviously the only times I'm really going out is obviously when I go to work, or obviously just take my dog out a walk, or even go out for walks, etc. So yeah, and obviously playing FIFA. Obviously with your Leicester City career mode, and me trying to get Salford out of League Two. Well, I managed to get them out of League Two, but I'm trying to get them out of League One and into the Premier League. But there's only a certain amount of time that you can actually play video games and not get bored, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, like I'm an avid gamer, and even for me, I'm getting bored with the amount I'm playing. To be honest, I play a lot of Ultimate Team, and I find that's particularly repetitive at the moment, especially when you play the same game every day.
I know, and it's and I've noticed a lot of people have the same players as well. Like you get so many repetitive games, and you play the same people who've got the same players. It just does get really tedious and boring along the amount of the time. So obviously, football stopped when football stopped on March the 13th. Now, obviously, you were meant to be travelling to Watford. How did you feel when the season stopped?
Well, we were the last team to play because we thumped Villa 4-0 at home. Just needed to put that one in there. But no, I felt as much as I thought it was like frustrating and stuff, it was the right decision. Like on the night before, it was where Arteta was announced that he had the virus. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want to get you demonetised. And also, 3 Leicester players were having symptoms of it, yet they were expecting us to play a game the next day. So it was the right decision.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, I mean, did you actually find out who those Leicester City players were?
No. There's been reports and rumours, but it's all just half of it's just guesswork from the media, to be honest. So I don't know for sure who it is. No.
Yeah. Obviously, let's go into the football side of things. And obviously, Leicester City have had a really, really good season, sitting third in the Premier League. I think people would have probably expected you to maybe have like a top 6 finish this season, maybe just outside the top 6. How well do you think the season has gone for you?
Couldn't have really gone much better, to be honest, because as we had a chat before the start of the season, I said if we can put pressure on breaking the top 6 and really sort of finish 7th, but really close that gap to the top 6, I would think it's been a successful season. And we've gone far beyond that. We're right on the tail of Man City in 3rd, and dependent on what happens with like how the season finishes and if it does, but we could be playing Champions League football next year. So couldn't have gone much better, to be honest.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, like you said, like you for a long time this season, you were our biggest challengers for the title. I know, obviously with Man City being second at the moment, but you know, for you to be our biggest challengers at the time was just something extra special. And To be honest with you, I think your team has been built on very good defensively, and you score a lot of goals as well. Tell me your highlights of this season so far, because I imagine there's probably one place where you'll probably say Southampton away was probably your highlight of the season. Would you say?
Oh, that was absolutely brilliant. Just like we were 5-0 up by half time. I think by the 20th minute we were 3-0 up, and it was just absolutely madness. Because normally you go to St Mary's and you expect quite a difficult game, even though at the time they weren't in the best of run of form. Still never an easy place to go to, and 3-0 up, and you know one of those days where absolutely everything just clicks and works. It was one of those. So Southampton's got to be up there. For a highlight, Tottenham at home, beating them 2-1 at home, because that was the first sort of time that it was early on in the season, and that was when people sort of started to take us seriously as a sort of, I don't want to say top side because we're not there yet, but sort of near the top of the table. That's when we sort of started to get taken seriously for that.
Yeah, and obviously all remember your title winning season when Tottenham came third in a 2-horse race. So I think you like to remind them of that, don't you?
Just every chance I get.
Oh yeah, just every. But no, I think Leicester City have been absolutely fantastic, and obviously you've definitely exceeded expectations, because if I'm being honest, like I had you 6th place this season, which I think wouldn't have been too bad either. And now
that would have been a good season. Just no one could have foreseen how well we would have started and the sort of run that we've been on. But obviously we did have that dip, but that's going to happen with a young team, like developing players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that gets me this season, that okay, there's been a couple of games, or maybe actually the Liverpool home game on Boxing Day, which, if I'm being honest with you, it's absolutely ridiculous. It was 8 o'clock kickoff on Boxing Day. Okay, that should have been like an earlier game or something, just to sort of allow you to you to get home to your family. What did you make of that? Is there one game you go away from this season where you're like, I was really disappointed in the team?
That's true. They were both within a week of each other. It was the Man City game where we went to the Etihad 1-0 up, and then we went 1-0 up. We were playing quite well. Yes, Man City were on top, but when Man City got the equaliser, we just capitulated. Like, Man City fully deserved to win that game, but you would have hoped we could have shown a bit more after going 1-0 up. And then the Liverpool game, I'm going to sound really bitter about this, but at 1-0 down, you guys were on top and stuff, but we were still in the game. And then the referee, the stupid penalty decision for Sienchu handball, like, arguably it was a penalty, but then we've had so many of those go against us this year that haven't been given. Just off the top of my head, Chelsea at home, Man City at home, Norwich, Aston Villa, just off the top of my head. So it seemed like an absolutely ridiculous decision. And then at 2-0 down, we were never going to come back. But at 1-0 down, with the pace that we've got in attack, you're always still in the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think especially the Rudiger handball and the De Bruyne handball, for me, they should have been given. And if you score them, it's 2 different games. You probably go on and beat Chelsea, and then you probably go on. Maybe
it was in the 93rd minute, mate. So we would have had a penalty in like the 93rd minute. So
yeah, and you would probably go on and beat Man City as well. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say whether we would have or wouldn't have, but it definitely would have been a different game.
Yeah. So obviously, I have to ask you this, because obviously you're an opposition fan and all that. What did you make of Liverpool, obviously furloughing their staff, but obviously then retracting from basically doing that? What did you make of it? And actually, what do you actually make of what Liverpool, Spurs, and Newcastle have done?
It's not a good look for you guys. Let's not beat around the bush really with it. But let's go through each club that's done it. So for Newcastle, it's to be expected with Mike Ashley, isn't it? Like any money he can take, he will. And then Spurs, quite similar with Daniel Levy, just tight as they come. But for you guys, I think it's a much worse look with the revenue that you make and the principles that your city supposedly stands for. It goes against everything that it should be.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I've said this on a couple of videos this week. I've said it's totally against the city of Liverpool. It's totally against the values of the club as well. And I keep saying it. Bill Shankly would be turning in his grave. But I'm glad that the club came out, and obviously Peter Moores has obviously sent a statement out saying that they're going to find an alternative solution. But for me, to basically do that in the first instance, it was just ridiculous.
The fact, I'm going to sound really cynical here, and I don't mean to, but the fact that the decision was made in the first place shows what the Liverpool's intentions were. And the only reason it's being reversed is the awful backlash that it's had by not just Liverpool fans, but football fans in general.
Yeah, especially because obviously you see Liverpool as one of the biggest clubs in the world. I mean, look what Manchester United are doing. They're donating 30% of their wages to the NHS. That was obviously started by Harry Maguire. Look at the stuff that Man City are doing. They're not doing that as well. So it's, to be honest with you, like I'm glad they managed to get away from the fact that they're not doing it anymore. But it still doesn't look good on our record.
No, and I don't know. It almost feels, because obviously Liverpool, not just a football club, but as a city, is so anti-Tory, and then to go and do that. But at least the only sort of positive from it is at least they've reversed the decision. But I almost feel like the damage has been done for sort of how it will be viewed on the club.
I totally agree. And whether or not the season starts again is another matter. But I mean, obviously we are looking at potentially sort of June, July before the season can begin again. But it could even be later than that. What ways do you think the Premier League should look at in trying to get the season started again?
At the moment, I don't think that should be a priority at all. I think at the moment, the only priority should be not putting any additional stress on the NHS.
Yeah.
For me, the season has to be finished at some point, but it shouldn't be a priority at the moment.
No, definitely not. I think I like we say on this difficult time that obviously everyone's health is paramount, and obviously if the season cannot be continued, then it makes it interesting what they're going to do with the cup competitions, because obviously Leicester City are in a quarter-final against Chelsea. Now,
yeah,
you're one game away from Wembley, so what do you think they'll do with the FA Cup this season, do you think?
The FA Cup will be the lowest priority. The Premier League will be paramount, but for the FA Cup, they'll try and play it out. But getting to Wembley would be incredible, but it would almost be an empty feeling if there's no fans there, for us to have to wait all these years to get there and then be no fans. Because obviously we played in the Community Shield there, which was incredible, but it's not the same as a cup semi-final or a final.
Yeah, I know, and like I know that you played them in that's right, you played in the Community Shield, but yeah, like you say, like an FA Cup semi-final and then a final, that would obviously get your fans buzzing, but it's a shame because I actually think Leicester City have got a really good chance of winning the FA Cup this year. I'm not going to lie. So that must feel really disappointing to see that potentially taken away from you.
Yeah, obviously you can't say that we were going to win it. There's still some decent clubs left. Well, some very good clubs left in it. Man City are still in it. I think United are. I'm not 100% on that, but we was definitely one of the sort of top contenders in it because you guys are out, and along with a lot of the other teams that you would have sort of said at the start could be going for it. But again, it's what I come back to. The health's got to come. Health's got to come first. But on a football standpoint, it is frustrating because it's a competition we've never won, and it would love to see us win it. But yeah, it's just it's frustrating, but it is what it is.
Aye, absolutely. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of people in the footballing world that, okay, like obviously we think footballers are sensible, but there's been a couple of wee incidents that have happened. Obviously, one including Jack Grealish, one including Kyle Walker, and then you get the absolute stupidity of Jose Mourinho. Now, in my opinion, I would never have envisaged Jose Mourinho doing something like this, taking Tanguy Ndombele from Chelsea, where he lives, to Barnet, where this local park was, and then obviously Ryan Sessegnon and Davinson Sanchez all turned up, and obviously there's been something with Mason Mount as well. What have you made of these incidents that have really, like, you just basically asked the question, what are you thinking?
The Jose Mourinho one is ridiculous. Have you seen that he has like full Tottenham kit on as well? I know that's a small detail, but it's making him stand out even more. It's like these players, if they are going to do training like that, they've all got their big, like probably huge gardens and stuff. Do it away from a public eye, and even at that, they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Train by yourself and stuff. I know like they all want to develop and improve, but it's not the time, and you should be at home because these guys are role models for a lot of young Spurs fans. So what does it say to the young Spurs fans if they see sort of their heroes training and playing football in the park? Then all the young kids who are Spurs fans will want to be going down to the park and playing football because that's what they see Ndombele doing, Sessegnon and Sanchez. So it sends out a really poor message for me.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously the Grealish one as well. Now, obviously, Jack Grealish has obviously been linked with. He's been linked with you guys. He's been linked with Liverpool. He's been linked with Manchester United. Do you think that this kind of stupidity that he's done, do you think it's going to affect him getting a move? Do you think this summer?
Potentially, it depends how desperate clubs are to sign him, kind of thing. But it's just ridiculous. What makes it worse for him is he put that video out the night before: "Stay home, stay safe, protect the NHS." And then he goes and gets pissed up at his mate's house and crashes his Land Rover, and it's like you literally couldn't write it.
No, and he will have let himself down. He'll let Dean Smith down, and then Kyle Walker. I mean, I honestly can't get my head around this one. He organises a party when obviously he's been told to basically stay indoors and only sort of stay with family, and he gets his mate round, and the rest we obviously cannot say on here, but again,
well, let's keep it positive for Kyle Walker. At least he stayed at home, but he's still an absolute idiot for what he's done. It's just you're just banging your head against a brick wall with them because you see so many footballers setting the right example, like Marcus Rashford, James Maddison, all doing loads of charity work, and then you see this from Kyle Walker. It's like how thick must you be?
I know. It's honestly, like, we've obviously seen a couple of incidents recently, and it's just, it gets to a stage where you're like, footballers should know what they're doing. It's honestly, I honestly think that Grealish, I think Mourinho, the worst one of the lot for me is Mourinho, because the essential travel is basically just to get sort of wee items like milk, bread, etc., and stuff you need. But to travel from Chelsea to Barnet, now I think that's about Was it 20? I'm not sure about the London area, but
To be honest, no, I don't know London well enough to say how far it is.
No, but like essential trouble, like that'll have gone to his head as well. Like you shouldn't. But yeah, honestly, that really riled me up the other day, and obviously had to tweet about it, and obviously I saw your tweet, and it was like, oh, what is he doing?
The thing is, none of them look good, but for me, the Grealish one is the worst one. He's drink driving, like even when this isn't going on, that's unacceptable. And if anyone else was drink driving, they'll be behind bars.
Exactly. So, it is what it is. But I'm actually glad that they've managed to. I'm glad Grealish has come out and apologised. Obviously, Kyle Walker's come out and apologised, and Jose Mourinho says he was not in the right to do it. Now, obviously, yesterday there was something that was announced that all the football players in the Premier League have now come together to give money to NHS charities. What do you make of this? What do you make of this from all the players?
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Any like a 30% wage cut from all Premier League players, that will make a huge difference. And I know you see people criticising them saying, "Oh, only 30% and stuff." They didn't have to do anything, and the money that all the players will be donating will help out huge amounts. So it's absolutely brilliant. Credit to Troy Deeney because he's been one of the main players pushing this, and Jordan Henderson, I believe. So credit to both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely fantastic, and hopefully this obviously spurs on sort of maybe other people to do it, and I really hope that obviously Matt Hancock came out in the public eye and said, "Oh, footballers should be doing more." I just hope he apologises now and just basically says that fair play. Now, obviously, transfer window. There's been a lot of discussions now that the transfer window could be extended. So if the transfer window is extended, what would be an ideal window for Leicester City this summer?
No one to leave, to bring in a top quality centre back, a top quality winger, and then a bit of rotation in that midfield.
Okay. Obviously, you've been linked with Felipe Coutinho. Do you think that's do you think that is a viable option to maybe get him, or do you think wages might be a bit of a factor?
The thing is, I think it's unlikely, but not undoable. But if we were going to spend that big money, I would rather spend it elsewhere. Like, we don't need another left winger. Harvey Barnes, yes, Coutinho is a better player than Harvey Barnes, but Harvey Barnes is coming on so well. And then as an attacking midfielder, we've got James Maddison. When you look at it that way, and then we've got like obvious weak points in our team in terms of the right-hand side, why would we be spending, like, breaking our record signing on a position where we've already got two of the sort of best young players in English football? It doesn't add up to me.
And obviously, I was told this when, because obviously me and you are doing a series on potential signings as well, and one player that seems to be linked with both of our clubs is Ben White. Who do you think he will go to this summer? Do you think he'll go to Liverpool, or do you think he might go to Leicester?
I think he'll stay where he is. If I'm honest, he'll either be at Brighton or Leeds, dependent on what happens and stuff, and if Leeds can sign him on a permanent. But I would say, without trying to sound biased, Leicester would be a better career move for him, because we've got Johnny Evans and Sionchu's been our centre-back partnership, but Johnny Evans is not getting any younger. As good as he's been, and he's been one of the top defenders in the league this season, at 33, how much longer is that level sustainable? So I think there'll be a lot more sort of career progression in coming to Leicester than going to Liverpool and sitting on the bench, where he could easily end up being the fourth choice, because you've got Van Dijk, Gomez, obviously Lovren. Will he be there? Won't he be there next year? And I feel like I'm forgetting one of your centre-back options, but it just doesn't seem logical for me for him to end up at Liverpool if game time's important to him.
That's very true. That is very true. Especially, Yeah, I think we've got someone like Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez.
Yeah, that's who I was.
Aye, yeah. Lovren, I think Vandenberg as well. So yeah, there's 5 centre backs. So obviously one of them will have to go, and then obviously if he was to come in, then. But yeah, I think he would be one for the future again. But you've obviously seen at Leeds this season that he can obviously do it in the Championship. But the one thing that he hasn't done is actually have a Premier League appearance. So that's another factor where I think he might stay at Brighton.
For me as well, sorry, I didn't mention this, but for us, we've got Wes as well, he'll be 36 and he might be retiring at the end of the year anyway. He's not one that we can rely on. We've got Benkovic out on loan who hasn't yet played in the Premier League. So for us, it will be, I think there's a much clearer path to the first team than there is at Liverpool.
I totally agree. I didn't realise Johnny Evans was 33 though. That's actually quite scary because obviously I remember him at Man United. He wasn't very good at Man United, and then he goes to West Brom, did very well at West Brom, and then signs for Leicester, and
he's been absolutely incredible. 3 million as well from West Brom, being one of the best bargains that I can remember for a while. While I say that, we've got Kante, Mahrez, Vardy all for bargains, but what a bit of business he's been. He's just been a complete revelation, and I think something that doesn't get talked about enough is that he made Harry Maguire look a lot better than he was when he played for us, and that's sort of been shown at United. I don't want to beat Harry Maguire and stuff, but he's not been the same player that he was at Leicester. He's still been good, but he's not been to the level, and I think a huge amount of that's got to go to Johnny Evans and sort of his experience of big games and sort of leading him through, because you've seen like when he plays with Soyuncu, that partnership as well, so similar in the way that Johnny Evans guides Soyuncu through games, not taking anything away from Soyuncu, but I think Johnny Evans is one of the most underrated players in the Premier League.
I think he's been absolutely fantastic, and like you say, 3 million is an absolute bargain. Right. Let me move on to, obviously, something was discussed yesterday in Scotland. Now, I was going to ask you this. So, obviously, Scottish clubs have actually decided to vote on whether ending the Championship, League One and League Two. So, obviously, Dundee United would be promoted because, obviously, they're first in the Championship. So, they would be promoted to the Premiership. And then obviously Raith Rovers would be promoted to the Championship, and then obviously Cove Rangers would be promoted to League One, and then whoever's in the relegation would obviously be relegated. Could we see something similar in England that could be like the Premier League could probably vote to maybe sort of end the Championship, League One and League Two? Could we see something similar in England, or do you just think that it's not viable?
I think it's a lot harder to do in England for 2 or 3 reasons. Because when you look at the Premier League, not all the teams have played the same amount of games. There's a lot more money involved in the Premier League and the Championship than there is in Scottish football. So then there'll be a lot more legalities to it and technicalities. But if, sort of, say, for example, now Villa were to go down with a realistic chance of surviving, you can imagine the lawsuits that will be going towards the Premier League and the FA or whichever sort of makes a decision and stuff. So it's a lot harder to do in the English game than the Scottish game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. I think, I mean, if obviously it would happen, then it's going to open a big can of worms, and you just don't want it to happen. But we shall see what happens. So, going to ask you for some very, very quick fire questions, right? Flop of the season.
Oh, that's a difficult one, actually. There's been a few players. I'm going to go Joe Linton at Newcastle, 40 million, and he scored how many goals? 2.
Yeah, that was my one. I had Nicolas Pepe as one of them, and
I think Pepe as a flop's a bit harsh because yes, he hasn't hit the numbers you'd want for someone for 70 million. You can clearly see that there's a player in there, and under Arteta, he's progressed quite a lot already. So I think next season we're going to see a player from Pepe.
I think so. This one's more difficult. Signing of the season.
I'm going to sound really biased here, aren't I? Yuri Tielemans he hasn't hit the level that he hit on loan for us last year, but he's almost one of those players that just makes things tick. And without him, we've struggled quite a bit this year.
I actually have to say that he was one of them. I think it's harsh to say Bruno Fernandes because he only came in January, so that there's no doubt about it.
There's no time to say for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, he started very well, but you need to see a sort of longer period for a player to determine how good a signing he's going to be. But the early signs for him, it looked very good.
It does, and I think people forget about this, but Raul Jimenez actually signed permanently from Benfica, and he's been terrific this season as well. So there's a lot. There is definitely a lot. Now, obviously, Leicester City have had a very, very good season. Who's your player of the season, do you think?
Wilfred Ndidi, hands down. I know Vardy's top scorer in the league, but Ndidi, he's just so crucial to the way that we play.
I honestly have to say that there's been a couple of players that have really stood out for me. Suyuncu, who has come in, replaces Harry Maguire in that team, and hasn't looked out of place one bit.
No, and the thing was, we tried to sign Nathan Ake after Maguire went to United, and it would have been sort of a £60 million player. And I'm glad that we didn't, because we never would have seen this level from Suyuncu. So the faith that Brendan Rodgers showed in him is outstanding. And now Suyuncu looks like he's going to reject Man City. And he comes out with statements like, where is it? I've got it on my phone here. That the faith that the manager showed in me when we've just sold the most expensive defender in the world, so referring to Harry Maguire, to then put me in is absolutely phenomenal. I hope to be playing over 100 games for this great club.
Well, there you go then. That's I think that's kind of just put a stamp down on his suitors. He's not going anywhere then.
No, and it's nice to see players repaying that faith after it's been shown in them. And he's another one that we didn't spend a huge amount of money on. I think he was 18 million. I know it's still a big fee, but for the quality that he's been, that's an absolute bargain.
It is absolutely. Honestly, Leicester have picked out a couple of absolute gems over the years, and Suyuncu definitely has proven to be one of the best centre backs this season. And it's not bad replacing like you say doesn't it feel very weird saying the most expensive defender in the world, Harry Maguire?
Yeah. Maguire's. I don't want to be, as I said, I don't want to sort of talk bad of Maguire, but we had United's pants down for 85 million.
Yeah, you did. Antony, absolute pleasure to chat to you. Always enjoy my chats with you. And obviously, if the season does get underway again, we'll definitely have you on the channel again. And obviously, whenever Leicester play Liverpool, obviously we'll have you back on the channel. So what are your plans for the rest of this lockdown period, basically?
So I'm starting a Leicester news series where I'll be covering all the news in terms of the world of Leicester City over sort of every 2 or 3 days, just to sort of keep people up to date and see what's going on. And then I'm also doing sort of a breakdown of players linked to Leicester City, so an in detailed look. So I did one for Coutinho because he's been linked to Nathan Ake, Chukwueze, so that kind of thing, as well as I think I've got one for William Carvalho coming out in the next couple of days. So just keeping myself busy, keeping content coming out.
Absolutely. Go check his channel. I'll put Antony's channel and I'll put his Twitter in the description below. And please go and subscribe to him because fantastic channel. Shame about the teams supports. Nah, I'm only joking. It's always nice to get some opposition fans on here. But guys, if you have enjoyed watching this video, then please subscribe to the Dugout Football channel. Please subscribe to LCFC Boya, and stay safe. And I will be back tomorrow with another lockdown chat. But for the time being, stay safe, look after your families. I sound like Craig Holden now. Look after your families, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.